Welcome to Crypto Vibe Coding. We have me, Marcus, Kevin, and Barry here today, Friday, June 6th, and we are going to dive into MCPs. And before we do that, just want to check in. Kev, how you doing? Barry, how you doing? How's everything going?
Fantastic, thank you. Hope you guys
Yeah.
doing well.
Yeah. Doing all right.
Hey,
Doing
I'm
all
doing
right.
great. Yeah, I'm back from Europe, but I think Barry's still there. We had a good
I'm
time.
still stuck.
You're still stuck. Are you in Belgrade?
Belgrade. I'll be home soon.
Oh, nice.
Stuck. Not good.
Stuck?
The
No, stuck in a good way. It's a very
oh,
pleasant. It's a
okay.
very pleasant city. I mean, like, oh no, stuck in Belgrade. Oh, what am I gonna do?
Belgrade's
I'm
a cool spot.
I have never
It is.
been. I've never been. Tell me what's one cool thing about Belgrade that you really like.
Uh,
It's the weather. I would say is
Yeah.
incredible. I'll let Kevin go after this, but yeah, weather and the people. The people are fantastic,
oh,
especially
you
the
stole the
conference.
people, so I'm gonna have to go with Rakia.
Ah, I'm so sorry.
Rakia is great. Yeah, that's the so Rakia is like the traditional drink in Serbia, and it's usually like made with like plum or some kind of it's similar to vodka, I guess, but it's a little smoother.
Hmm.
So it's really good. Yeah, Rakia is
Okay.
great.
I've never had it. Never heard of it. And well, now I
I'll
want
bring
it.
I'll bring some to ECC and
Oh,
we can
cool.
drink it.
Well,
I
good
got some little
times.
portable bottles. So
Yeah. We're gonna dive into MCP servers today. Does that sound like a good plan today, everybody? Awesome,
absolutely,
awesome.
yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, Kevin, you mentioned there was two MCP servers that you brought up just in the call, the pre-call before we went started the stream. One of them was the seven something sector seven, I believe it was.
Context seven. Context
Context
seven.
7. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then also you brought up, of course, the Subgraph MCP, which recently launched. So those are two I think that would be interesting to go into. Barry, are there any MCP servers that you're using regularly, or is this something that's not in your workflow just yet?
Yeah, I mean, I use the. I mean, I wouldn't call them MCP servers, but they're the tools that I included with Claude and OpenAI. So like every time you ask OpenAI to search something on the web, that's technically like an MCP server slash tool, right? So for now, I get everything I need from these servers, right? So, but yeah, I'm always open on the lookout for something that will change my improve my productivity and such.
Cool, cool. Well, yeah, well, I'm curious, Kevin, what you and Barry dug into the Subgraph MCP just this morning and the last few days. I'm curious what you've found and what you've been able to build. That'd be kind of cool to see.
Yeah, I can shut off. I mean, it's basically like my issue was that I originally started using Vercel AI SDK, and I'm using Coinbase Agent Kit, and I was trying to just call like the MCP directly from like an action provider, um, and it just wasn't really connecting. And so Barry recommended to use like an experimental version of the Vercel's Model Context Protocol SDK, and that worked like a charm. So I could show it off if you want now. You want me to share my
Yeah,
screen and kind
yeah.
of
Let's
show it?
let's go through it. I'm curious. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's see. Let's go entire screen here. So basically, what I was working on is there's this, I mean, we talk about it often in our videos, but there's this examples repo that Marcus, you set up actually. And we have like all these examples for various things in the graph. And so there was a starter kit that Adam Fuller created, who used to be a product manager at Edgenode, and he's also a core member of the Build Guild. And he created this really cool starter kit that's basically using Vercel AI SDK. It's using OpenAI. It's using Coinbase Agent Kit, and it basically he set it up so you could just do like basic, Coinbase Agent Kit type operations. You could have a private key, all that stuff, and then I just modified it to work with the token API from the graph, the subgraph MCP server now, and just regular standard like subgraph queries. So you can kind of get started pretty easily. It's just like you clone it down, you go into the right folder, install the dependencies. It's a yarn package, add all your private keys. So you need a private key for, you need an API key for the graph. You need an API key for OpenAI. You need like a secret to do next authentication, because we like protect the chat route so that not like anybody could be able to like interact with the chat. It's kind of just like a way to do auth. And then we have like a place to put the agent private key. And then you can just spin it up like normal, like you would do scaffold ETH. And the main architecture is, again, it's a chat interface page, and it's integrated with AgentKit. So you have this ability to have like a wallet for the chat agent. And it also has this MCP. So this is what I actually fixed this morning. So we can actually, let's just load it up real quick and I can show you guys really quick. So let me spin up, if anyone hasn't seen my videos, like you basically need to spin up scaffold ETH on a couple different ports or a couple of different windows. You need to have your chain running in one window. You need to have your front end running in another window, right? And then you need to have another window for like doing your deploys. So yarn chain, yarn start, yarn deploy. Even though we're not going to use the contract, it's just good to know that flow. And then we can load up the project here in Cursor and take a look at it real quick. Okay, so we have this, we have this project here. So you'll see there's the examples repo has a bunch of examples for like the token API, for subgraphs, and then the one we're going to be talking about is this agent one, right? And so inside of here, there is a packages folder, and it's basically two packages. It's the chain, right, hard hat, and it's the front end, which is Next.js. And inside of there, there's an application. So we're using app router, and we have this kind of API route where we can do authentication, and then we can also authenticate against Next.js to basically sign in with Ethereum. Question?
One sec. Is your screen being shared right now? Just
yeah. Is it not showing up?
Just double checking. Okay.
It was a second ago. Now it was a second ago. Now it's gone.
Okay, let's try it again. Maybe it crashed. Can you guys see now?
Yeah, we're back.
I can see it now.
Okay.
Yeah, sweet. We just
okay. I don't know
the project. When you explaining the project, the tree structure.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I think my computer's been running low on memory, so if I just stopped. Okay, so yeah, so inside of here, there's this agent, the graph agent scaffold ETH. Then inside there's a packages Next.js folder, and then inside there is where so there's an API route for authentication and for the chat interface. So we use sign in with Ethereum basically to authenticate people to the chat agent. But what we set up specifically is in this utils folder here. And then inside there, you'll see that there's this chat option. So in the utils, chat, agent kit, and then this is where you put all your like action providers. So if anyone's not familiar with agent kit, it's this concept of like tool chains, right? Like you want the agent to be able to do something, then you create an action provider, and then you basically outline like how it should interact with whatever you're trying to do. So there's one for the token API that I created here, which has like some of the hooks available from the token API. But then there's just a standard one for just querying a subgraph as well. So if you just want to query like Uniswap or Aave or whatever, you can like put these contracts in here and hard code those, or you can use the MCP. So what we set up, what I was working on this morning that I couldn't get working was this, and Barry helped me out. But basically we're using this experimental create MCP client, which is available from the well, it's actually Vercel AI SDK. So here's the import that we use. And we just can pass the subgraph MCP. If we go there real quick, subgraph MCP, we can look at it. It's designed really for like Claude or like some kind of desktop app. And so the configuration is like this, where you would put this into Cursor, but you could utilize it on a TypeScript file. So that's what we're doing here, is we're just initiating a client with that, and we're passing in this kind of URL that we basically have here, and then we're passing in the token, which is the API key to access it using the environment variables. And so what that does is it just gives us this ability to call all the functions that are available inside of the MCP server, like getting a subgraph that is for a specific contract, or searching for a contract that says contains the words ENS, or whatever it is that you're trying to get. And then we're using, in this example, we're using Zod to basically like act as the interface for like getting the data from the API, or from the MCP server, sorry. So let's just show it real quick, and then that way I'll stop talking and we'll just show it work. So I already spun it up over here, so it's ready to go, and it's on port 3000. And so if we launch this real quick, sorry, it's lagging a little bit. There's some errors that are coming up that I haven't fixed yet, but it works. Okay, so if we go to the chat route right here, so I mentioned before that we're using sign in with Ethereum. So when you first get in here and you want to use the chat, you'll actually need to just disconnect and reconnect your wallet so you can connect to MetaMask, or you can use the burner wallet that comes with Scaffold ETH, and then you just need to sign a message to prove that you have that access to that private key, or that public key. And so now we can ask a question like, hey, what are the most popular subgraphs for ENS? Let's see if that works. So what this is going to do is it's going to determine, oh, well, this guy wants to find out about a subgraph, and he wants to specifically know about ENS. I probably could have specified what chain that I cared about as well. And it's going to kick off the action provider for that MCP, and it's going to formulate how it needs to go and make that call based on the TypeScript definition that's in here. And then it's going to come back with a response, and we can see the response here. So it looked for keyword ENS, and then here's the response object, which is very ugly, but it worked, I think. Oh, it did not work actually. It's like we're responding with like a general kind of thing. So it actually did not work. It's just saying like what an ENS is.
Is this using OpenAI for
Yes.
the language model? I've been
Yeah.
noticing all day today, OpenAI has been weird. It has.
Oh, really?
That's not just you. Yeah.
Okay.
Like it's hallucinating completely different topics than I thought. Than I was prompting it earlier this morning.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, let me see if I can just grab, instead of like a smart contract, I was trying to maybe grab like an address. This is the token. I don't want that, but I don't know. Anyways, but yeah, it was working earlier. But you can see I mean, it's technically it's working. It probably just didn't make the right tool call. So we could look over here in the output here and see kind of what it did. And we could kind of see, like, it looks like it tried to query, it made a query here to the MCP. So it looked and saw what the available tools were. Then it looked for the tool, and yeah, they came back with some kind of return. It looks like it actually got the data, but for some reason it didn't use it in the response. So yeah, I'm not sure exactly why. We could maybe try it again. We could try something like this, like what is the most popular subgraph for ENS on Ethereum mainnet? Let's try that on the Graph Explorer or something like that. Let's see if it can maybe figure it out based on that. Any input, guys? What do you guys think?
I feel like this is the next step for Scaffold ETH and having LLM chatbot interface. That just makes sense.
It worked. Okay, cool. So it grabbed it. So it has the IPFS hash here. So we could like go to IPFS. What is it, like this? I think that would work. Oh, that's not the right one. IPFS. What is the URL? IPFS.io/IPFS/this. Yeah, that worked. So this is the ENS registry subgraph, right? So yeah, it was successful. It just needed a little more guidance. So that could just be me. I didn't program it super well, but we can see the tool call and it worked. But yeah, that's all I wanted to show. Oh, and then I could talk about Context 7 real quick too. So like
Yeah,
Context 7.
that's a cool one. Context 7, big fan of that one.
Yeah, so you could just like, like if you're searching scaffold ETH in here, right? Then we have it, like I added it actually. Or we search like the graph, like I like added all the graph docs in here. And so that is really easy. You could just go into cursor settings. I've talked about this before, but I'll show you real quick. So we go to settings, cursor settings, and then MCP, and then you can see here that it's enabled. And it's, you can see my private key here. I'm gonna have to change that. But yeah, so here's where you put your things. I'll have to rotate my key, which is fine because I don't even come anywhere near most of my queries. But here we have the Pinax one, which is the token API. Context 7 is just a matter of just adding this little block right here in this configuration file. And it should work fine.
Yeah, super easy. And I saw this morning Cursor just added a button that you could just simply add MCP servers with. Just click it, and it drops that little portion of the JSON object to, easy install. Very cool. Good job, guys. Very, very cool. It does feel like the next step for a lot of these kind of framework, especially like Scaffold ETH, which is it has strong opinions. Some frameworks don't have very strong opinions. Some do. I'd say Scaffold ETH does, and I think that's a good thing, especially for new developers. But to have a chatbot kind of interface feels right somewhere in there. I don't know where it belongs necessarily, but somehow, like if someone spins up Scaffold ETH, to be able to have some type of AI integration feels right.
Yeah, there's also another project that I built that does not use Scaffold ETH that is pretty much the same implementation. So if you go to my GitHub, which my GitHub is KM Jones 1979, there's a build called, well, there's a couple of them, but the one that I'm talking about is I did it for like a hackathon for Nodit. I don't know if you guys have heard of Nodit before, but it's actually a competitor to like the Graph and Subsquid. It's kind of like a centralized API for blockchain data. So I created like a really quick starter kit, and that one does not use Scaffold ETH, but it's the same implementation. I can share it real quick, actually.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So if I go here, sorry, I'm like hogging the time here, but yeah, so if you go to my GitHub here, KMJones1979, and then you come here, and there's this one right here, which is, it's not using an MCP server, it's just using like standard like action provider for Nodit, but it would be a good one to like toy around with, where you could just like modify it to work for like an MCP server. But it's essentially still Next.js. It just doesn't have any of that stuff that comes with Scaffold ETH. It's just kind of like more bare bones.
Got it. Very cool. Very cool. What do you think, Barry?
Yeah, it's super cool. I love these open source tools. They really help people get started with this, because when a new protocol comes out, everyone's just too busy to try it out. So now, they can fork Scaffold ETH, do their own implementation, play with ChatGPT, just build like an API call and plug the MCPs in. It's super powerful.
Yeah, to be able to essentially inform yourself and your code in real time, considering how fast tech is moving, like this makes sense as you're building, to be like, hey, what just happened in the database like 2 seconds ago, and I need that information as I'm building. Like, it's crazy how that mentality changes things. I'm looking through a few different MCPs out there. Are there any MCPs that you want to go over, Barry? I'm just looking through a few others that I think would be interesting just to check out.
Yeah, let me go through it as well, actually. Yeah, I just kind of I've been exploring the MCP world a little bit. I think there are a few things that they're still needed, like authorization, like authentication payments, things like this, for it to be a truly powerful ecosystem. But yeah, we're still getting there.
Yeah, I feel like we're still getting there. The news, I just woke up this morning and I saw that Cursor 1.0 was released, and they have a curated MCP directory right now. And I've not actually used this just yet. Let me hold on one second. There we go. I haven't used this just yet, but this is the directory that they are sharing. And just to think like, hey, I want my GitHub to be open in Cursor and to be installed just through a button click. And now I've got Context 7, MCP server, Subgraph MCP, and then the token API MCP just with a click now. Now my GitHub, maybe my GitHub, can now be in the chatbot very quickly, which is really nice. And I'm seeing the concept of, oh, how quick is Notion changing, and how can I have that directly into my Cursor as well? So that feels like it's something that is heading in the right direction to make this, the IDE, the integrated development environment, to really be integrated with working environment things. You know, we have all the time right now Notion, you know, busy as hell every single day, and to be able to actually see what people are discussing in Notion and bring that in, and also Slack, bring that in. I mean, like, how many times are we chatting in Slack and being like, what the heck is everyone talking about? And then just bring that right in. Like, that would be really nice, not have to just juggle through Slack and just stay in your IDE. Yeah, has anything come to mind for you guys about the if there's anything that you guys would want to build today? We have plenty of time, and I do see all these MCP directory. There is a Stripe. Kevin, sorry, Barry, you mentioned having payment involved. I do see a Stripe implementation as an official MCP of Cursor, which is interesting. PayPal, that's in there. Payments and financial management tools directly into Cursor. Anything you guys would like to tinker around with on the live stream today?
Anyone feel like building something?
Yeah.
You're gonna vibe.
Let's
Vibe
vibe
it.
it.
Let's
Let's.
vibe it.
I'm putting all the MCPs in. I'm gonna put every single one in and just let them fight for dominance.
Well, I like this cool idea Barry has, but I don't know if he wants to like dox himself on his idea. The characters.
What Barry, it's up to you.
He's got a cool idea. Barry's got the ideas. Barry's like the little.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool idea. It's just I'd love to vibe code on like a more like concrete project, because if it's something that's too bare bones, you know, it's just nobody wants to see. Well, maybe some people do like seeing the struggle, right?
Well, I think that might be a good idea maybe for next week, if we can start with a bare bones project. We have MCPs, we have multiple MCPs lined up. We have the project requirements, the you know, we have something like a PRD or something, and then we go ahead and push on that based on that idea. Do you have that? Would you want to share kind of a high level overview of what that might be, Barry, or do you want to keep that private and keep that? We'll generate hype for it for next week.
Well, the idea, yeah. So basically, to kind of give an overview of what I'm planning, what I'd like to experiment with. I've been playing a lot with custom models, fine tunes, and things like this, and it's incredible. You know, the variation in result that you can get from models that are not ChatGPT or Claude, for example. So for example, a great model that I've been playing with is Command R. It's been updated to Command A. It's by Cohere. I think it's like Cohere Labs. It's like a Canadian company, and the models are very good. They're very different. That's what I can say. They're very. I would never use them for coding, for example, because the usual benchmark that people use is like coding. Well, how well can it solve my bugs? How well it can do these things and such. Whereas Cohere kind of concentrates on more English language, right? Writing content.
Could you share a link to that? I have never seen that before. That's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me find it for you. And the beautiful thing about this model is you can self-host it. It's I believe if you use it commercially, you have to pay a license, but anyone can go like on Ollama and basically download it. Let me just find it real quick. Yeah, so the website is called cohere.com. Let me just drop it in chat real quick, and I'll drop the docs for the model. It's a beautiful little model. Yeah, so I've been running some tests. For example, every time I'm doing something English language related, right? So like blogs or tweets, I like to use different models to see if I get different ideas, right? I would just be like, generate ideas for me, and I actually have like a tree of models that I use, and some models just impress me a lot. For example, Google's like smaller models, Gemma 3 is the latest one, have been very impressive. It's a small model, can fit on your laptop, for example, if you have enough RAM. But it's just such a powerful, mighty little model. So, for example, you may ask, iterate on this blog, right? And something that I've noticed is all the models. It doesn't matter if it's Claude 4, if it's 1 trillion parameter model, whatever. They all come back with the same result. I suspect due to the training data that they used, like the data set may be very similar. But some models just give you a totally different result, and very often it's much more pleasant to work with. So it's just one of those things where it's like worth experimenting, and I would love to build something on top of that takes advantage of the differences in models, because you can also fine-tune them, right? You can optimize for specific tasks.
Yeah, they do feel like personalities at this point, where I will
Yep.
instinctively reach for O4 Mini for certain tasks. I will instinctively reach for O3 for really tough tasks and big tasks. I will instinctively reach for 4.0 for just general, probably wrong, but heading in the right direction tasks. And you're on that next phase of optimizing certain tasks for certain models programmatically, which I think that would be really cool. And Microsoft did announce their studio recently for agents, specific for agent development, and giving them individual tasks and then having them go off. So yeah, if you want to work between now and next week, I'm happy to work with you and get something prepared for this next week on Friday. And we just see the various ways that you're optimizing for specific personalities of all the different models. That would be pretty cool. Would you want to push for that sometime for next week? Sounds like a lot to do on a live stream in 29 minutes right now.
It would be a really fun thing to do for sure.
Okay.
It's definitely something I'd love to play with
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah.
You know what would be cool, Barry, is because I don't do as much of the local model stuff. I have like set up Ollama before, and I got it to work, but it'd be nice to see other people's workflow on like how you do that. And then also like taking that a step further, like if you were to like, because it's one thing just to mess around on your laptop, but like if you were to deploy something to production that would utilize one of these models, like what would it look like, right? I think that's a little bit of the missing gap right now with a lot of people. They can like vibe code and they can, query against OpenAI, which everything's like a wrapper around OpenAI, right? But how do we really like take the building to the next level where it's like what you want to do, right? Like create these custom models and this custom platform, and like what does it really look like to have a like production AI application that's going to like succeed, right? That would be really interesting and valuable, I think. Not only for me, but like for other people maybe tuning in.
100%. I think something that I notice myself every time I program, say for example, I have an agent, right? I have to pin the agent to a specific version of ChatGPT, because as soon as you prompt it, you basically lock in, like, I don't know, you call it a seed, I guess. Like it responds, you test the responses for a particular model. Even if you upgrade to, say, Claude, I don't know, 3.5 to like, what was the next one, 3.7, right? what you'll notice is the results are totally different for the same prompt very often. Say like so you know, like you have the usual prompt strategies, right? You give an example, like in a system prompt, right? System prompt is the one where you specified before that's fed into the model just to give it the character, right? To give it specific function, like you are a doctor, or like you are a chat application, and you are able to display artifacts, and you're able to call specific tools or APIs, right? Yeah, so a model with the same prompt will respond, system prompt will respond totally different, just depending on its version. And it's like a really interesting observation that I had. And yeah, and you know, like if you use a centralized model like OpenAI, for example, you can't you're not always sure if they will you know, deprecate a particular version and such. Essentially,
I mean, we're back to where we started. Like here we are in
right.
crypto and Web3, and
Yeah.
be like, this is something I saw a while ago when we're heading into this AI revolution. It's the same damn problem. So I'm excited to hopefully have this local push. I know there's decentralized AI out there, and I know there's a push on that. They won't necessarily be able to compete with the compute of a centralized company, but at the same time, like I'm to shut something down would be just inevitable. That's going to happen. Yeah, I was wondering, Barry. There's a few different AI workflow tools out there. Have you seen Make already? What's called Make?
I don't think I have.
Yeah, I tinkered with it. I think it was in April or May. Let me just share my screen right here. I was trying to have some type of generative way of creating content, and I was building out this kind of visual representation. It didn't work great. It wasn't exactly what I wanted, but essentially having certain AIs talk to other AIs, talk to other AIs. This isn't exactly agentic because I had to essentially create each of these different nodes that are processing in different ways. But I feel like this is kind of where you want to head in a more fine-tuned way. I think this can get much more fine-tuned. If you guys haven't tried out Make yet, it's quite good. I do want to plug into MCPs with this too, so I could actually have more real-time data. That would be the next version of this. But if it could have actual models plugged into MCPs at the certain time and then route to an output, that felt quite nice to kind of tinker with. I was like, I was gonna build with this for for a little bit, see how it would do. It didn't do great, and I was like, I'll revisit this in 6 months or so, and so I might be coming up to that again. But yeah, I mean, is that somewhat similar to what you're thinking?
No, I was just yeah, I'm thinking in terms of sorry, do you mean by this for the systems or the fine tunes?
Well,
For the system prompt? Or...
yeah. So you said essentially you're optimizing your agents, individual agents, depending on the task at hand. So there's a certain model that you would have for a certain agent based on the task at hand, and having some type of programmatic way of determining this. Are we somewhere out on the same page with that?
Right. Yeah. So for the agents individually, usually when you invoke a tool, every tool has its own. I mean, depends on the library and such, but technically each tool can have its own model attached to it, right? So, for example, say one tool might be really good at market predictions, right? So it will have a custom model trained on a custom data set based on like a trading history, or just like market sentiment, whatever. So you plug, and this model that's been fine-tuned for this application will give you the result that's optimal for this use case, right?
Yep.
And but the master model, the model that calls these different tools, we're usually talking about ChatGPT, like what's 4.0, for example, right? Or
Mhm.
just
Generic.
any model, just generic model. Yeah, that's really good at when we call it agentic behavior, right? It's a model, like it's usually a model that's really good at picking the right tool to call. When you tell it, I need to solve this math equation, you will find a tool that does math equations, and it doesn't try to do it in its
Sure.
internally, right? And there are benchmarks that show which model is better at this.
Sure.
Mhm.
Sounds like a PM.
That's
So.
right. Yes. It's a very common. What's the word? Architecture, where you have architect and I forgot architect and an executor, right? The architect is the smartest model. We had a discussion about this. It's the smartest model you find, and the executor is usually the model that has the most knowledge. So the architect is the smartest model. It thinks of a plan, and and then the smaller model is not as smart, but it's really good. It knows all the languages, right? So it will
Right.
give you
It's a specialist.
a specialist, right?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I would love to work with you on this this week and see if we can get something ready for next week. Does that sound like a plan?
Yeah, let's do it. Sounds great.
Cool. Cool. Yeah, and I want to be able to plug in the different models and then MCP and see if we can create some type of, I mean, this is like a dynamic website we're heading towards. That's like almost self-propagating. It's information and its shape. It's pretty futuristic. It feels like it's like, at what point does the output not dynamically propagate in the UI? Like, that's not just in terms of a table or in terms of a chart, but like, are we heading towards a dynamic UI that is dynamically adapting to the actual data that's coming in? I know that's we're heading in that direction. What else are we going to be doing? You know?
Anything.
Yeah, it's wild. It's
Yeah,
wild.
anything is possible. We're programming it, right?
Yeah,
So
we are.
it's just code. It's just like I like to think about it like build the tools that you like.
Yeah.
Build the tools that you will use, right?
Yeah.
And if it's something that solves your problems, I mean, it's nice to build something that's like, wow, this is cool. Obviously, but to me, like I like to focus on things that actually solve problems for me. And the reason I mentioned like fine-tuned models and such, they solve a problem for me. They solve problems, right? For English language, for example, things that are not as sexy for some reason, right? So like programming is like the sexiest thing when it comes to AI usage and other and right. So it gets the spotlight, but there are other applications where you know that really need work, and I would like to use these tools for myself.
Yeah. Yeah. The best way to build is to be motivated to solve stuff that bothers you. I totally agree. Well, cool, guys. Anything else you guys would like to add before we start planning for next week's and get some actual code on the screen and see how vibey we can get?
Excited for that. I like the vibing, you know, like let's just get deep into the vibes.
I feel that. I feel like the last two were a little bit too newsy. We needed to jump into the code and really rip some stuff apart. I think that'd be more fun.
Next week, that'll be good. Yeah.
Next week. All right.
Yeah, nothing else to cover here. I mean, yeah.
Cool.
Excited to see what we guys can build. So
let's do it. All right. Well, let's keep on chatting off screen. And for those of you tuned in, thanks for tuning in. And enjoy your time for the rest of your June 6th. And take care.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys.
All right, see ya.
See ya.